Hey guys, welcome to my first video of 2020. I'm going to be doing two spreads today. The first one is going to be primarily focusing on journaling, so it's going to be very simple in its decoration. I'm going to be reflecting back on 2019, and then my second page spread is going to be looking forward to 2020. So I think it's really important to actually look back and reflect on the previous year. I think a lot of us sometimes get scared to kind of look back at where we made some mistakes or failures, but I think that's really important to figuring out where we want to go next. And so what this page is going to be about is basically some of the things that I learned in 2019, some of the struggles that I had in 2019, and then also some of the great things or the blessings that I experienced in 2019. This past year has been an interesting one because I've learned quite a bit both professionally and personally, but that also means it's been pretty rough because I think in order for growth to occur there has to be a couple things that break or change, and that's what 2019 has been for me. I took on this challenge of the channel and I wanted to fully commit, and my goal was to do at least one video per week, and I've done not only that but surpassed that in a lot of respects and regards, and so for that I'm really proud. And I also wanted to get a really good handle on my financial situation this year, and so even though that was really uncomfortable at times, to kind of get some of those things sorted out and kind of face some things that I had really neglected a bit, I feel so much better having all that sorted and now being in a much better place. Some of the roughest lessons this year were that of feeling like I couldn't trust my own judgment sometimes when it came to certain people or things. Discovering that my initial perceptions were not always correct, and being disappointed by those perceptions, feeling let down. But it made me remember that I have to accept that not everything is going to be permanent, that some people and things are only here for a certain time period and that they have a particular purpose or reason for being here, and that doesn't make them any less valuable. So I don't really regret the time or the effort that I invested, and I'm beginning to see this more of a lesson and something that I can learn from moving forward. The good news is, though, that as some of these older ties were broken or severed, there were quite a few newer, stronger ones that actually sprung up in their place. I found someone who is quite an unexpected mentor, who has really not only done a great job of help building me back up, but also someone who I can be myself around and who feels comfortable enough to say, hey, think about it this way. So she's done a really good job of actually kind of helping me create more realistic perceptions of people and things. And then a couple of my longer lifetime friendships have actually been strengthened quite a bit this year. And in addition to that, I have found a really cool group of crafty ladies who I interact with almost on a daily basis now, and they're so great at generating inspiration, crafty inspiration, and just they radiate positivity non-stop. There's not a catty moment at all ever whenever I'm interacting with them, which is really great. There's no sense of competition. everyone is very supportive of each other. So I found that to be very, very beneficial, you know, not only personally, but also they're really great at giving feedback for things that I'm working on crafty-wise that is even professional. So that has been a really fantastic blessing this year. So looking ahead to 2020, what I'll be working on is simply setting up more systems to help me continue to grow, not only in improving my finances, but also improving my craft time, my mental health, my physical health moving forward. And if you guys saw my video last year, you know that I don't make these big resolutions, but instead I set intentions and I then break them down quarterly into smaller pieces so they're more I guess feasible to actually accomplish. So I'm going to be writing some of those down on this page, but really it's all about the systems. It's all about setting up these better habits, small habits that can actually be accomplished. So in preparation for this year, I have watched tons of YouTube videos. There's lots of YouTubers out there right now that are telling you how to reset your life for 2020, how to create a better you in 2020 and a more successful you in 2020. And while I do find that to be really valuable, I think that when you are improving, that these things do take time, and that sometimes these processes take more than just a year. I find as well that the older I get, the faster a year goes by as well. So, you know, even though a year seems like a long time, it's usually not. It's usually a pretty quick turnaround. And as you set up these systems, keep in mind that not all of your goals will be met in 2020. You'll set a couple of them, one or two you'll hit, and the rest you won't. So get comfortable with that. Be okay with that, knowing that you're not going to accomplish everything in 2020, but at least look to set up a couple of systems and accomplish maybe one or two areas, or one or two things that you really desire, that you really want to push for, that will really improve your life and your happiness in 2020. This year, what I really want to focus on, and something that something that resonated with me in a video that I watched recently, was that I want to do a better job this year of documenting. Yes, you guys have seen me do journal with me videos, but I don't journal as much as I used to outside of those videos. So I want to make sure that I'm being more mindful in my journaling. So I'm going to be setting up morning pages. Some of you guys have heard of this before, and if you haven't, just Google morning journaling pages. And that way I can get my flow of consciousness out there, and then I can take some of the nuggets or some of the pieces that kind of fall out of my brain during that process and make sure that I document them really well. And then I told you guys I was watching a couple of videos before this, and one of them is Marianne from Pocketful of Vintage, who I just adore. I love her approach to journaling. I love her approach to YouTube. She's very matter of fact, and she's very practical, which I really enjoy. In her last video, she talks about how we are more focused on what our journaling pages look like as opposed to what they really contain. And she made a point of saying that, you know, we make such a big deal when we look back on historical documents, and, you know, we're just over the moon about reading about someone else's life from 100 years ago. But what are we doing now to create that history for someone else 100 years from now to go back and look at and read? So this year I'm going to be focusing on some simpler things, focusing on, I hate to say it, but even the minutia of our lives, writing about where I live, writing about my cats, writing about my job, writing about some simple things that we take for granted, you know, the price of gas, what a grocery store looks like in this day and age. You know, we love to watch these post-apocalyptic films, you know, when we wonder if that's what it'll be like, but in case it is, I want to document those things, so that 100 years from now someone can look at it and go, oh, look what this was like before. They can, you know, reflect on our history. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of journaling for mental health, looking at more prompts and actually writing about those prompts in my journal. Some of those will have videos and some of them won't. I believe that my journal will contain things that are a bit more personal moving forward, so you won't be able to see all of that, but I will continue to share spreads with you guys just like this one of major life events, trips that I'm taking, major milestones, and also things in general that I think would be good general journaling tips to kind of share with you guys. So as I'm wrapping up this video, there are a couple things I want you to think about when it comes to your journaling journey or your crafty journey. Is stop comparing. Do what works for you. If that means nothing but pen on ink in your journal, then so be it. If that means that you do a few doodles here and there, or a few photos, or if you go wild with stickers, stop trying to compare what you do to what other people are doing in their journals or their crafts, because someone is going to be interested in how you do it because it's unique or different, or they simply like the fact that it's more simple. Okay, so don't worry about so much what it looks like, but worry about, you know, are you adding value to your life with this? Are you enjoying the process? If this has become a chore, then it's not really worth doing. And then I want you to think about this as you set up your resolutions or your goals or your intentions this year. Really take the time to look back on 2019 and figure out if that actually held growth for you. Okay, ask yourself, what did you learn? Did you set up a system that maybe failed? If you did, maybe that system wasn't for you, or maybe it needs some tweaking. Maybe it's not necessarily a failure. But use your mistakes. Go back and look at your darkest times from 2019, see what was lacking, and then really use that to ask yourself, what do you really, really desire? What do you really, really want moving forward, not just in 2020, but forever? And use this time to start building on that. Don't look at 2020 as a year where you're going to reset everything and everything will be perfect and great and happy. Look at it as a time to kind of build on the life that you want moving forward after 2020. hope you guys found some encouragement and some inspiration from today's video. I hope that you found something, even if it's a small piece that you can actually take and will help you when you're setting your intentions for 2020. I'll see you guys in the next video, and Happy New Year!